Did you know that the United States did not come up with their ideas for government all on their own? Well, if not, you're going to find out today. So let's get started. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Virtual History 360. I'm Mr. Wade, and today we are talking about the foundations of our government. So what we'll be doing is reviewing standards C.1.1 and C.1.2, meaning what influenced our founding fathers as they crafted the system that we have today. Now be sure to stick around until the end of the video to hear a story about Thomas Jefferson and his use of natural rights in the Declaration of Independence. It's probably something you've never heard before, so you don't want to miss it. But before we get to that, right now I want to focus on the ideas that shaped our idea of government, and to do that, we need to go back to the 13 colonies. You see, during colonial America, we were living under a monarchy, okay? That means we were ruled by the King of England. But we really need to go back further, say back to truly understand where we got from, we need to go back to the year 1215. We'll start there. You see, in the 1200s, King John tried to raise money for his wars with France by taxing the barons of England. Of course, they were upset and joined with the church to rebel against him. To stop this rebellion, King John agreed to meet at Runnymede in 1215, and it was here that the Magna Carta was signed. This document granted certain rights to all free Englishmen, such as the right to trial by jury and that new taxes had to be approved by a committee of barons in order to take effect. Now, these committees became more and more permanent and grew to represent more counties and towns throughout the country. This is the beginning of the English Parliament, and more importantly, the shift to a parliamentary monarchy, an early example of limiting the king's power. Now we can fast forward to the year 1620 aboard the Mayflower. These pilgrims and outsiders thought that they were so far off course that they were outside the control of England. They were wrong, but the point is they were willing to govern themselves. So before they left the boat, they signed the Mayflower Compact, agreeing to a set of rules that everyone would follow. This planted the seed of self-government in the American colonies. Alright, so now you can kind of see where it's going, right? So now let's move through the 1600s and let's go back to England. When King James II came to power, he outright defied Parliament. He did not get along with them. He tried to increase the power of the king, and Parliament wanted nothing to do with that. And they overthrew him. This was known as the Glorious Revolution. To secure the supremacy of Parliament and to safeguard their rights from royal interference, the English Bill of Rights was passed in 1689. This added to the Magna Carta by also protecting the freedom of speech. In Parliament at least, right? Also, the right to bear arms to defend themselves, the right to petition the government to ask them to fix problems, right? And the protection from cruel and unusual punishments and excessive bail. Hopefully some of this sounds familiar to you. But let's shift gears. The last government document occurred during the rise of the Enlightenment. Now, what's the Enlightenment? The Enlightenment refers to the philosophical revolution where there was an emphasis put on logic and reasoning. It got its start with advances in science, such as Sir Isaac Newton, writing down the laws of gravity, but soon transitioned to apply these principles of thought to better understand human society and to make it better. These thinkers reasoned that there were natural laws that governed how people behaved, just like we all follow the law of gravity. With this thinking, they also challenged tradition and authority to make the world a better place through reason. There are certainly more than 3 philosophers, but for this video, that is all I'm going to focus on, with the first being John Locke. John Locke was an Englishman who believed that every person was born as a blank slate, that we were all equal at birth, and that any differences between people were caused by the education and experiences that shaped us. This led Locke to question the position of nobles and kings. Why were they in power? Most kings claimed divine right, meaning God gave them power over the people. John Locke disagreed with this. You see, Locke believed in the natural law, which guaranteed each of us the right to life, liberty, and the use of our own property. To protect these rights, citizens enter into a social contract with their government. John Locke argued that this is where rulers get their power from: the people and the social contract. People agree to obey the ruler in exchange for the ruler protecting their natural rights. In his book, The Two Treatises, Locke wrote that if rulers violated this social contract, that the people had a right to rebel and overthrow him. All right. The second philosopher that I want to talk about is Baron de Montesquieu. He was a French nobleman who studied different forms of government around the world. Now, Montesquieu understood that different countries of different sizes could be ruled differently, but he firmly believed that the best run governments were those who split the power into different parts. He said that it was best to divide the powers into a legislative branch, the one that makes the laws, an executive branch, the one that enforces the laws, and a judicial branch, that's the one that interprets the laws. As long as the branches work together, a system like this just works. You see, this separation is also good to keep leaders from becoming too powerful. Split the power, work together, everything works. Now, moving on, the third philosopher that I'm bringing up is Thomas Payne. You see, Thomas Payne was a visitor from England, and when he came to the American colonies, he realized that they would be better off to cut ties with England and just go off on their own. He wrote probably his most famous pamphlet. He wrote more, but his most famous pamphlet called Common Sense, where he argued, as the name implies, that it was common sense that the 13 colonies should not be governed by the tiny island of Great Britain, which was smaller than the colonies themselves and thousands of miles away. He said that the cost of the connection to Great Britain was greater than the benefits that they received from it. This pamphlet was published at a time that it greatly influenced the push to fight the American Revolution. Okay, so now that I mentioned the American Revolution, what about that story with Thomas Jefferson and the Declaration of Independence that I mentioned at the beginning? Well, hopefully you know that Thomas Jefferson changed the phrase from life, liberty, and property to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But why? I read an interesting article by Dr. Uhura Williams that discussed Jefferson wanting to blame slavery on King George in the document, but that the idea was removed. 168 words taken out. I believe that he switched property out so that the people who believed that slaves were property would not be able to justify themselves with the Declaration. That's what I think. But what do you think? I want to hear from you. Do you have any theories about this? Any ideas? If you do, tell me in the comments below. All right, you've made it this far in the video. That means you like the videos. That means you're supporting this channel, and I appreciate you. But I'm going to ask for a little bit more. If you want to support me, you can do this directly by going to buymeacoffee.com. There's a link in the description. It takes you right there. You can give a one-time donation. You can buy me a cup of coffee for $5. Or you can become a monthly subscriber, which gives you perks like shout-outs and even a sub for the day, a 30-minute Zoom session if you want to follow that. So all the details are at buymeacoffee.com, okay? So click that link and check it out. I have some big things planned for the channel, and I need your help. So thank you for what you already do, but let's take it one step further to help this channel grow. And be sure, like always, hit that like button, so YouTube knows to share this video with everyone. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Let's turn that red button gray. And if you want, check out these other videos that you see to the side here. I have other history videos or civics videos. I have my 360 videos that you can look all the way around. So I've got a lot for you to check out. So do yourselves a favor, because I know you're going to like them. For Virtual History 360, I'm Mr. Wade. I'll see you next time.